Good morning. Good to see you, church. Hope you had a good 4th of July. We're now on the 5th of July. Time keeps rolling along, though. Stand with us this morning and just saying you are worthy of my praise. I will worship with all of my heart. I will praise you with all of my strength. I will sing all of my days. I will follow all of your ways. I will give you all my worship. I will give you all my praise. You alone I long to worship. You alone are worthy of my praise. I will bow down and till you ask me. I will serve you. I'll give you everything. I will lift up my eyes to your throne. I will trust you. I will trust you alone. I will give you all my worship. I will give you all my praise. You alone I long to worship. You alone are worthy of mine. I will give you all my worship. I will give you all my praise. You alone I long to worship. You alone are worthy of my praise. Well, ask Brother Carl, put on the prayer this morning before he gets out of here, traveling around the country. We won't see him for a few weeks. So, Brother Carl, you love to say. Amen. You look around and see anybody that might have gotten their finger blown off by fireworks last night. Give them away. All things present together, folks. Let's get your words today. Say your side, only washing the blood. we'd like to have this time to have prayer over this special time. Wendy, would you lead us in a prayer for our offering?
Heavenly Father, we come before you today, thank you for many blessings that you have blessed us with. Lord, thank you for the privilege to come to assemble together to worship. Lord, help us to never take that for granted and realize, Lord, that you have worked throughout the years of our country, Lord, we can have this kind of freedom. And Lord, I thank you for that. Lord, as we come to this time of giving today, I pray, Lord, that we'll remember that all that we have belongs to you. Help us to be cheerful givers, give you the things, Lord, that you deserve, so that you can bless us in a way that we can be a blessing to each other, so that we can be a blessing to you most of all, and give you honor and worship, Lord, that you and you alone deserve this, Lord. Have your way in this service. In Jesus' name I pray.
Sing with us today. Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise Him, all creatures here below. Praise Him above the heavenly hosts. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Amen. We heard a song a few weeks ago. I hope you remember it. We call Stand in Your Love. It's one of my new favorites. Dean has taught us. So we'll sing that for you this morning. We want you to sing with us. When darkness tries to roll over my bones, when sorrow comes to steal the joy I own, when brokenness and pain is all I know, I won't be shaken. No, I won't be shaken. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. We're all the King. Clothed in majesty, let all the earth rejoice. All the earth rejoice. He wraps himself in light, and darkness tries to hide, and trembles at his voice, trembles at his voice. How great is our God? Sing with me, how great is our God. All will see how great is our God. Sing with hope, man.
Age to age he stands, and time is in his hands. Beginning and the end, beginning and the end. And God and three and one. Father, Spirit, Son, the Lion and the Lamb, the Lion and the Lamb. How
Great is our God. Sing with me, how great is our God. All will see how great is our God. He's the name above all names. He is worthy of all praise. My heart will sing, how great is our God. Sing that praise again. He's the name above all names. He is worthy of all praise. My heart will sing, how great is our God. How great is our God. Sing with me, how great is our God. All will see how great is our God. We'll sing out with them today, church. How great is our God. Sing with me, how great is our God. All will see how great is our God. Amen. It's a great God. Legacy. Staff always has no trouble with humidity in here today.
I see some of the rest of your fanning as well.
It is July, isn't it? It could be like the old times. You could have a funeral home fan right now. And using it and chewing the edges off of it. of those fans were back when I grew up. Hard to find one totally intact.
You got your Bible there today, turn to Matthew chapter 10.
Scott, you say a few words for me while you're down there.
Okay. You know, we updated you a little bit on Bubba and Roy last week because some of you were concerned with him. Well, it seems that Bubba had a little trouble with his child this week. And it was because his kid was really struggling to learn in school. And the boy was reasonably bright, but for some reason, he had a really hard time with history. And so the teacher had asked early in the week, who signed the Declaration of Independence? And the boy said, you know, I don't know. So every day, for 4 days, the teacher asked him, who signed the Declaration of Independence? And he never could give her the right answer. So finally, in desperation, she called Bubba into the classroom and said, listen, your boy won't tell me who signed the Declaration of Independence. So Bubba said, boy, you come sit down right here, right now. So the child willfully obeyed his dad, went and sat down, and Bubba looked at him and says, now, if you don't tell her who signed that stupid thing, then you've got to better admit it so we can go out of here and let everybody know that if you did it, let them know. I really messed that joke up. I think come close to getting that like I wanted to. It was a serious time. And it's a serious time now. You know, I've tried over the last few weeks, Lord, give me some things to share with these people that will encourage them and help them through these difficult times we face right now. And the Lord keeps giving me things that are for wisdom for my sake. And I hope for yours as well. And in this text today is one of those times as we celebrate an Independence Day weekend. Understand that there's a lot of people that paid a great price for this freedom that we have. A lot of people who spent their entire being for our independence. And so it's hard for us to imagine that we're coming to a point now where we may have to arm ourselves. Now, you say, I don't know about that, preacher. I feel like if I would arm myself, I'd be a little more like Governor Powell than General Pat, probably. That'd probably be me. I wouldn't really know which end to use with a gun a lot of times. But Jesus is talking about that today in this text. And he's talking about arming himself with a sword. Now, when you think about instruments of war and destruction, you see a gun, obviously, is probably the one we think of first. You may think of a bomb, or you may think of some type of poisonous gas, or something similar to that. But Jesus talks about today being armed with a sword. And the sword is unique because a sword is not like the others. The sword is divisive. It cuts. It separates. And we're at a point now in our history, in our country, in our world, that we're being separated. We're being divided out. The middle ground is kind of going away. If you've enjoyed sitting on that fence for all the years or known people that have, well, guess what? You're going to have to climb off that post and get on one side or the other now. Because we're becoming a very divided people. And Jesus speaks to that in this text today. And we think about swords through history. You think about somebody like Peter that cut off Malchus's ear in the Garden of Eden when, the Garden of Gethsemane, when he was being arrested. Or you think about somebody like Solomon, who had the two ladies there fussing over the child whose baby it was. And as he raised the sword to cut the baby in two, the real mother spoke up. So when you think about it, you always realize that a sword is divisive. It cuts, it separates. And that's what this is about today. And it's going to ask the question, whose team are you on? Are you on Team Jesus today? Is that who you're going to live? There's three great movements in this text, Steve, and I want to show you. This is our title today, A Very Serious Time. Some of y'all have said you'd like to be able to put some of the points and things up here because of your notes, and I appreciate that. I understand that. Sometimes I go too fast or maybe not clearly enough. But this is our sermon today. It's a very serious time. And it's a time that we've got to relate to and understand that it's got to sink into you. If it hasn't sunk into you already through this time that we've been facing, that today, this very day, this time in our history, you either got to be all in for Jesus or all out. So, how many of you are willing to go all in today? So that's going to be the question that we look at as we go through the text. Matthew chapter 10, verse 32 through 39 is our text, and says this. Therefore, whoever confesses me before men, him I will also confess before my Father who is in heaven. But whoever denies me before men, him I will also deny before my Father who is in heaven. Do not think that I came to bring peace on earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to set a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's enemies will be those of his own household. He who loves his father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he who does not take his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. He who finds his life will lose it, and he who loves his life for my sake will find it. A very serious time. So, a very serious time comes with this, as you see the text today. A very serious time comes with a very serious confession. Look what Christ says again. Verse 32, therefore whomever confesses me before men, I will also confess before my Father who is in heaven. But whoever denies me before men, I will also deny before my Father who is in heaven. You know, there's a lot of things we take literal in life. Some people talk about, they're sitting in a room like this, burning up. Well, nobody's really burning up in here. It may be hot, maybe unpleasant, but you're not burning up. Some people say, I'm freezing to death. And that may be the person sitting beside you, by the way, in this particular room. But they're not freezing to death either. Those are things we hear and talk about. Let me tell you what. This is serious as we take it literally today, what Christ is saying here. It's not something that we can play at anymore. Because this is as serious of a comment that Jesus could possibly make. When he talks about our willingness to have a serious confession, it's that time. There was a man named Andrew White who was known as the Vicar of Baghdad, and he had an Anglican church there for years. I'm not sure if it's still there or not. He'd have to kind of come in and out. He didn't stay there all the time because of the danger of him being martyred. And I read about him and the things that went on there and all the people that suffered persecution and the things that they suffered at the hands of the Muslim community. And I read about 4 teenagers that were all under 15 years of age that had been in his church there, who each and every one had been brought out before a group of terrorists, jihadists, and wanted those young men and women to confess that Jesus Christ was not Lord, that Allah was. And as each one of them stood, they said, I cannot deny Yahshua. It's Hebrew for Jesus. I cannot deny him. He didn't deny me. He died for me. One by one, each one of those young people were beheaded because of their belief in Christ. Now, that's the time that I have to ask myself, here are people around the world not denying Jesus, losing their life, being beheaded. And sometimes I'm unwilling to tell my next door neighbor about it. Maybe that person in that cubicle next to your work, you don't really want to let them even know you're a Christian. Or you don't talk about these things. We don't share these things enough. And those days are gone, folks, because now is a time that you have to confess Christ. You have to do it in a serious manner. Matthew chapter 10 here, it challenges us to understand the difficulty that lies before us that we have to deal with. And whether you like it or not, Today you are a sheep among wolves. You are a sheep among wolves wherever you go in our society this day and age. You know, I think this chapter is so appropriate for us because, you know, it reminds us of the strange and difficult days that we are living in and how things don't always go like we want to. But what we can't do anymore, and I hear the people as we come close to this new election, people keep talking about the silent majority. The silent majority. Well, I pray that's true. I pray there's a silent majority out there. But let me tell you something. Now is not the time anymore to be a silent majority. Now is the time to be a vocal. Now is the time to speak up. We're allowing people to do it all around us, to tear things down and destroy things. And we're just kind of sitting there and saying, well, we're the silent majority. That's Jesus' Lord. Jesus is Lord of my life. Jesus is Lord of your life. And the people around us need to hear that. Not just, it's great that you live a life in front of them that says that, and I appreciate that, but it's time for us to be vocal as well, I believe. You may be saying to this one, preacher, what's the best way for me to be ready in a situation like that? Well, let me tell you, if you confess Christ every day, it becomes natural to you. It won't be a stretch when you're really in a pinch to do it. When you feel that, well, this is awkward, but I've got to share it right now. When you're used to doing it, it won't be an issue at all. Because there's a large number of people in this life who's going to profess Jesus, but when it comes down to really facing severe persecution, are they going to stick to that? Are they going to follow Jesus? There's a difference between professing Christ and confessing Christ. And I learned this lesson the hard way years ago when I was associate pastor at our former church. I did most of the baptisms. One year we did over 100, I believe. And I was blessed enough to have the majority of those to be myself. It was a great thing for me to get to do. But one Sunday, as we were sitting back there about to come out and get in the pool, typically I would tell the people, look, we're going to go out there and I'm going to ask you what your profession is. And by that, I mean, what are you professing? And I say, you can say things like Jesus is Lord, Christ is the center of my life. Whatever you want to say, just profess what you feel in your heart right now. And, you know, all of them would usually do something like that and do well with it. There was this one lady that I went to baptize. And I don't know if she wasn't paying attention to what we were talking about there or what. But I asked her, what is your profession in the pool? She said, I'm a salesperson. And all the choir was sitting there looking around, looking at me and snickering and laughing. And then it hit me. You know, there's, by the way, Lynn said they're lying to you before she went to the pool. I remember that as well. We'll have to ask her about that. But as I thought about that, I thought, you know what? Unless you have a true confession, you can't have a true profession. Until you get to a point where you say, I'm a sinner. See, that's why we don't ask that in the pool. Would you mind confessing all your sins right now before I baptize you? That doesn't really suit people real well in the pool, so you don't ask them that. But in essence, until we have a true confession in our life, who's Lord of your life? Who have you decided I'm going to become humble and confess all my sins and instead trust Jesus' blood to cover those sins? Until you can do that, then you really don't have a true profession. You've got to confess sin. You've got to be able to share that I know this is a serious time. That's why so many people that think they're saved really aren't. Because they haven't got to that point of humility of saying, I know I'm a sinner. I know I need Christ. I know I need a change in my life. And I can't do it on my own. Jesus is Lord, and I'm going to follow him. We need a very serious confession this day and age that we're living in. And I hope that you're able to use that in your life for those around you. Well, not only do we need a very serious confession, but we need a very serious division. That's what our text tells us when you go back to verse 34. Listen to Christ's words. Do not think that I came to bring peace on earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to set a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's enemies will be those of his own household. Now, if I were to come in here today and ask the question, some of you may have embarrassed yourself if I asked you, did Jesus Christ come to bring peace on earth? Because I know a lot of them say, well, yeah, sure he did. Well, Jesus Christ came to bring away to eternal peace. But Jesus Christ, as you just read, came for what? When you read the story of Zacchaeus, I think it's in Luke chapter 19, and as you look at the last part of that little story, Jesus said, for the Son of Man has come to seek and what? Save those who are lost. That was Christ's mission. If he carries that mission out, then peace is going to be an eternal reward for that. And I know what you're thinking. Well, didn't the angels sing peace on earth, goodwill toward men the night that Christ was born? They sure did. Did Jesus bring peace to earth that day? He did not. He brought a way for it. But I can promise you, Herod didn't buy into the peace on earth. He spent the next 2 years trying to kill him. Jesus Christ admits, and you need to understand, he is a divider, even among your own family sometimes. And I can promise you in the day and age we live in, loving Christ is going to polarize some folks in your families. It's going to polarize your neighbors. It's going to make people come and want to go in a different direction around you. Why is that, preacher? Why would that be? Well, the Bible tells us back in John chapter 3, verses 19 through 21, when it talks about that men love darkness rather than light. That's the polarization they go towards. That's the draw of the magnetism that they tend to go to. They love the darkness rather than light. Is that not what you see now? Men love darkness rather than light? Unfortunately, it is. So Jesus didn't come here saying or claiming that he was bringing peace right now. He was bringing a way for peace. Understand that there's a difference. I'm reminded of the old song, stand up for Jesus. One of the lines in that song says, this day the noise of battle, the next the victor's song. That's where we're at. You got to stand up for Jesus right now because what? This is the day of battle. This is the time. Well, I doubt as you go on y'all's trip, y'all will stay in some places and some campgrounds and things that there'll need to be people that need to hear the truth about Jesus. I'm sure most all good campers are saved for the most part. But as we go about our vacations, as we go about our daily routines, there are people everywhere that's being divided. They need the great healer, the great uniter, and that's Jesus Christ today. You know, there's people everywhere that's going to argue about the ills of today. They're going to argue about, you know, homosexual agendas, transgender agendas, or right to life agendas, or whatever they all are. They're going to argue about those things. But today, we fight. We put on the full armor of God. We arm ourselves. We prepare ourselves as we go out to do battle. I challenged you last week, those of you that were here, that in the next 30 days, you pray that God sends somebody along your path that needs to hear the gospel. You pray that God opens that door for you. And I hope you continue to do that. And don't forget that over the next 30 days, because I'd like to hear some of your stories. I'd like to hear some of your occasions that you had a chance to tell somebody the good news about Jesus. Because it's a serious time. They need to be able to hear that. You know, I got to tell you folks, God don't need any sunshine stoners or lazy boy Christians anymore. You know, if you've been that in the past, then all those excuses have kind of been thrown out the window. You know, you're acclimated to this leisurely lifestyle. So much of the church has just been comfortable in their setting to status quo right as they are. And if ever we've been called out, it's during this time. It's during this time. We're in a war. We're in a war for souls of men right now, like we've never been before. So don't be surprised when your close friends oppose you, or maybe even some church members oppose you. Because that's happening too. There's many places in this world right now that makes you a target when you follow Jesus. It's because Christ came and He let us know that He was going to be a divider. Do not think that I come to bring peace on earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. Well, there's a very serious confession, there's a very serious division, but there's a very serious decision that has to be made. Verses 37 and 39. He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he who does not take his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. He who finds his life will lose it, and he who loses his life for my sake will find it. What's being said here is that putting Jesus first will cause you some family issues and some divisions sometimes. You know, it's difficult to understand these verses a little bit when you read them. Because I know y'all are like me, and to use a good southern term, we all love Mama and them. Y'all know who Mama and them is? We love Mother and all the others. Mama and them. We love them. We don't want to hear this. We don't want to hear that there's going to be division. You know, it's interesting when you start seeing some of this thing. I don't think any family's immune to it, because you've got somebody that's got a little different thoughts than what you think ought to be right. And I got to tell you, I've told you this over the last couple of weeks, that anytime I do counseling or anything like that, you always want to let people know that they've got to love God more than they love spouse, or more than they love kids, or grandkids, or mothers, mother-in-laws. If they love Christ more than they love all that, everything else takes its place. But it also may mean, it may cause some division. Now, I'm not telling you that somebody in your family don't believe like you do. You need to blow up and not ever talk to them again. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is you need to understand that you've got to share truth with them. You've got to stand on truth. You can't be wishy-washy with them. You've got to let them know where you stand. And if they can deal with that, that's great. If you can be amicable, that's great. If they get mad, blow up, and storm off from you, God bless them. Hopefully they'll come around. But you can't compromise truth. You can't do it. That's what Christ is telling us here. If you do that, it may cause some issues. There was a lady named Emily Phillips. Years ago, she was about 69 when she passed away. She wrote her own obituary. She knew she had terminal cancer, and I think it's kind of unique. I think maybe we all should do that son. Write our own obituary. He was a good man. Despite what all the rest of y'all think. I mean, I can see what I could write here. Maybe that's not a good idea. But either way, she finished her obituary by saying this: I was born, I blinked, and it was over. How many of y'all feel like that's kind of the story of your life right now? I was born, I blinked, and it's about over. Listen, you know, that's not unbiblical. James 4:14 says, whereas you do not know what will happen tomorrow, but what is your life is, and even as a vapor that appears for a little time and then vanishes away. Psalm 96 says, in the morning it flourishes and grows up. In the evening it's cut back to withers, talking about a flower. Our life is like that. Yesterday morning at about 10 o'clock, I got a phone call from a friend of mine, Lee Thrasher. Some of y'all know Lee. And I used to run around with all those guys, and his brother Steve, we call him Gopher. He says, Gopher died. He had a stroke on Father's Day. And you didn't know that stuff. Got had a stroke on Father's Day. It didn't get any better. It had some swelling in the brain. They tried to release some of that. And the doctor basically told him, he wasn't going to get any better. And before they could even pull the plug, he had a heart attack and died. That's Wednesday. But I'm sitting there thinking, I graduated with these 6 months younger than me. And I'm thinking, we've had a lot of people that passed away in the past, but when there's somebody you run around with like that and was healthy, basically healthy, and you realize how short time is. That great theologian Charles Barkley once said, Father Time is undefeated. It is. When we read in Hebrews chapter 9, verse 27, when it says, and as it is appointed for men to die once, but after this, the judgment. The stats have been released. 1 out of 1 people are going to die. It's going to happen. And so when we understand that, we have to understand that this life is short and things have to be done in a serious manner. I pity the people that went through life and never got serious about their faith. And I've known a few of those. It's sad. But here they come to the end of their life and that they zero in on their careers, they zero in on their families, they zero in on so many things that are so good, but they never took their faith seriously. Folks, that's the one thing you have to take serious. It's the most important thing. Y'all know who Jim Elliot was. Jim Elliot was the great missionary who went to Ecuador and was killed by some of the natives there. A lot of people don't know it, but Jim had a brother. Jim Elliot always said this is always one of my favorite quotes. And you need to write this down. I should have put this in your notes. Jim Elliot once said, he is no fool who gives what he cannot keep to gain what he cannot lose. I love that quote. He is no fool who gives what he cannot keep to gain that which he cannot lose. Well, Jim Elliot had a brother named Bert Elliot. A lot of people don't remember or even know that. But Bert Elliot was actually older than Jim Elliot, and he was called to be a missionary in Peru. And for 62 years, he was a missionary in Peru. Started over 150 churches. Died when he was 87 years old. But when Jim Elliot was killed by the natives in Ecuador, Bert Elliot was home on furlough. And he asked this question, why doesn't God take care of us? We've given our life to missions. We've given our life to God. And here is Jim that's been slaughtered by these Indians here. And then it came to him where it made sense. And he said, it's in dying that we're born to eternal life. It's not in maintaining our lives, but it's giving our lives. This is what God taught him to the death of his brother. It's in dying that we're born to eternal life, he said. It's not in maintaining our lives, but it's giving our life. See, it's wonderful to become a Christian here on earth, because I believe you do have an inner peace that you can enjoy all through this life. But the great eternal peace that's coming is only experienced when we die. You don't have to be fighting these wars anymore. We won't have to be getting mad at the television when we throw something at it and see people stomping in police windshields and popping statues and cursing in police officers' faces and they can't do anything about it. We won't have to deal with that anymore, because then we'll have eternal peace. That's what Jesus came for. That's what we need to understand. So it's a serious decision today that we make. You go to the graveyard this afternoon, you look on any tombstone or any plaque or whatever it says, and you see the dates of birth, you see the little dash, you see the date of death. And the dash represents all of us' life. And that life, even though the dash may look the same on all those things, it's different for everybody. For some, it's in teenage years they pass away. Others may live to be 100 or whatever. But the dash makes all the difference. And it all comes down to, did you get serious in your life one time to repent of your sins and trust Jesus to be Lord of your life. That's what that dash is for. It's like the old invitation song we do. I have decided, one of the verses says, the world behind me, the cross before me. No turning back. No turning back. Is that true in your life today? Is the world behind you and the cross in front of you? If it isn't, it needs to be. If those around you are struggling with that, you need to help them understand, because it's a serious time of decision. Martin Luther framed it this way when he said, let goods and kindred go, this mortal life also, the body they may kill, God's truth abideth still. His kingdom is forever. We can look around the world and see the reasons today that we're so discouraged and so upset. There's so many troubling things that recognize that as true Christians we're under attack, and we are. And we cannot like them, or we can dwell against them, whatever we're going to do. But if we believe the Bible, then we don't need to despair. Our peace is coming. Our peace is coming. There's no Supreme Court that can put Jesus Christ back in the grave. There is no terrorist that can attack the resurrection. There's not anybody that can burn our churches down that God cannot rise again. The gospel will never be destroyed. The gospel is the truth, and Jesus Christ is Lord. Let's bow our head and close our eyes. I don't know if you take these sermons each week as a message to help you maneuver through this day and age we live in, or as a scary threat, or what, I don't know. But I feel compelled to share the truth of the gospel with you, and to encourage you to encourage others. Y'all all got people in your lives that I'll never see or know that you can touch and affect with the truth. And I encourage you to do so. I encourage you to be able to do that. Folks, it's a serious time right now. And I don't see it getting any less serious. It's ramping up. It's intense. And for you that know Jesus Christ today, we've got to wrap up with it. Father, we thank you for this time. God, just ask now for prayer on this time of invitation. Lord, if there's anyone here that feels the need to just come and pray, Lord, give them courage to do so. Let them understand, God, that they've got church brothers and sisters that are praying for their strength as well. God, there's times when we need to stand that we're not as strong as we should. God, I pray for that strength. God, there's times our faith is not as strong as it should be. God, I pray for that faith. God, for all those tools and things we need to better your kingdom, to want people toward Calvary, help us, Lord, to grasp those and achieve those in our ministry as well. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Stand with us as we sing the prayer. such. Adult Bible study this Wednesday at 11 a.m. Please join us for that. We're in the book of Revelation. We've been having good crowds for that. So if you're not doing anything, 11 a.m., hop on up and join us. Food pantry is open this Thursday at 10 a.m. We need some volunteers for the next 3 months. So please sign up today if you can help with that on Thursdays. Inside the Bulletin also today is an insert about the Midst Adventure VBS, which is Friday, July 24th through Saturday, July 25th. They won't be spending the night here at church, but they will be here both those times. So we're trying to do a little different version of VBS this year because of everything that's going on, trying to get everybody out every night kind of thing. So hopefully this will do well and bring some kids to that. God bless you. Thank you for being here. You're dismissed.